like.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you know what, I'm going crazy. I hear Mabel laughing.
Tracy and I were going to grill some steaks tonight.
So it's not walking my style.
I don't have any, luckily I still have charcoal on my Weber.
Nice.
I see it.
Well, Alex is making biscuits and we're gonna punch your hand. So, send ski patrol down because this thing is huge.
Okay, everything you say is on the air.
All right. Nothing?
Yeah, what's in there?
We all set? Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Welcome to the 2 o'clock council meeting, special meeting. Everybody please turn off their cell phones to mute. And I need a motion to adopt the agenda.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very good.
Okay, everybody has public comments on in their packet. So I'm sure you've had time to read them or will read them. The topic today is solid waste. And I guess, Daniel, you're up.
Mayor, I'm going to take over.
Okay.
So, I appreciate everybody giving your afternoon to us. We need to talk trash. We've got a solid waste problem in the town, and it's been getting worse. And I need direction from the council as we produce the budget for next year on what direction you would like us to go. And I'm going to offer you a couple options today and give you some information. So if you would, at the end, that's what I'm looking for, some direction so that we can go into the budgetary process. The issue we have now, in my opinion, is the system just isn't working. We have too much tonnage of trash. We don't have a good method of dealing with it. We're going to break it down today into several components. We'd like to talk to you about residential trash. We'd like to talk to you about commercial trash, and then we'd like to talk to you about the convenience center. And then at the end, put those three together and give you some ideas on what we think you could consider, and then hopefully give us some direction on where to go find some dollars and cents. We spent quite a bit of time doing some budgetary numbers, so we'll be able to give you some estimates today, but they're not final numbers. We don't have exact quotes, but I feel very comfortable with the numbers we're going to give you today. The issue, and we've been talking about it, you've been getting public comments about it, is we've had a 20% increase in our solid waste tonnage. And you know, last year we enacted some changes at the convenience center to sort of mitigate some of those tonnages that were being delivered to the transfer station that people weren't paying for. You recall in January I gave an update on the convenience center. We talked about the placards, and we talked about how much waste we think we have removed from the waste stream by people who were not paying their fair share. We also, as a recap, reminded you that per your direction, we went out and did an audit of all the areas where we pick up waste, predominantly the multifamily homes, apartment buildings, rental buildings, and they were not paying their fair share based upon the garbage that they were delivering. And as you recall, it was based on their water service. So if you had a multifamily building of 10 residents and there was one water meter, that building was paying one residential rate, and the other 9 people, arguably, were getting trash for free. So at your direction, we went out and audited all those, and all of those multifamily buildings now are paying the residential rate per unit. And in some cases, that's more money than they would have paid if they had used the dumpster service. So, we've gotten complaints. Hey, I wasn't paying for this before, and now I am, and how can I reduce my solid waste costs? The current system is a hybrid of, let me go back. You changed the solid waste ordinance back in early fall. We redid the entire solid waste ordinance, and if you recall, we put in bear-resistant bins as well as the wooden bins, so a homeowner gets to do both. And we tightened up on the use of the convenience center. We put in the placards, and then you approved the $5 single-use packs that we're selling at Fred's and at Town Hall. So that brings us up to date to where we are, and we've got problems with all of that needs to be addressed. And so we'd like to go through that a little bit with you. Let's start with single family. Single family, we need to break that into two groups. The single family that doesn't rent to a short-term rental, whether they live here full-time or they're up here for a couple months out of the year, but it's not a rental. Those folks know the system very well. They've got a placard if they choose to use the convenience center, and they usually have a bin if they choose to have a bin. Some have put in bear-resistant bins, some have not. Some still have the wooden bins. And we pick up their trash. We call it curbside pickup on a weekly basis, one time per week. And those folks, they know the system, and they either put their trash out the morning of the pickup, or they bring it to the convenience center. And for the most part, the ones that have contacted me, they're pretty happy with the system. They're very happy with the fact that the town council decided to make sure that everyone that was using the system was paying their fair share. The other group of residential customers are the ones who have a short-term rental business, if you will. They've got a single-family home and they're renting it out through VRBO, or they're renting it out themselves on the web. That group needs to be further split from a privately managed. I'm the homeowner and I manage my own rentals through VRBO or through the website, and professionally managed. We have some businesses on the mountain that manage the home for those owners. And those are two distinct groups. So let's take the professionally managed group first. You recall that we issued them a red placard, and they issue that with the keys to the unit, and they receive that temporary placard back when the keys are turned in. And for the most part, those businesses, those professionally managed short-term rentals, are happy with the system. They have needed additional short-term or temporary placards, but it seems to be working well where they manage that placard with the key. The next group is the privately managed short-term rentals, and this is the homeowner that is either through VRBO or Airbnb or doing it themselves. And this is really where the crux of our problem is they require their renter to take the garbage to the convenience center at least at the end of the stay. And they are supposed to provide that access to the convenience center by giving their renter the placard. And there are problems there because they have a difficult time controlling that placard. The renter takes it with them and goes back to Florida. There's no key to turn into a management company, or it's been lost, or there isn't a sufficient instruction by the owner to the renter on how to dispose of the trash. And I believe I talked to you about this last meeting when I asked for this meeting. Therein lies the bulk of our problem with the residential, is that renter who spent 10 days on Beach Mountain skiing, dining, hiking, biking, has had a great time. On their way off the mountain, they've got this bag of stinky trash, and they have a hassle at the convenience center to dispose of it. And so we tell them, no, you can't come in. Well, what can I do? Well, you can go to Fred's to get a $5 single-use pass. And they go through the center, they go to Fred's, and Fred's employees are complaining that they're being treated negatively by these people who are now angry Did they have to go to Fred's to buy a pass to dump off their garbage to leave the mountain? These are also the people, not all of them, but for the most part, when we have an issue, these are the folks that are causing the conflict with our employees at the recycling center. And some of those encounters have been very negative, where we've had to call the police. We've had our employees threatened. We've had garbage thrown on the ground and people drive off. That is where the conflict has been. And that's why you came up with the $5 single-use pass. This rental group requested that, if you recall. But there's a disconnect between the owner and the renter. And that disconnect is what's causing the problem. And it's not the town's fault. And quite honestly, it's not the renter's fault, although they're not being polite and nice. It's the fact that the owner is not making arrangements for that solid waste in their business to be properly disposed of. So you'll recall we went back and we have fines. So if there's trash and we clean it up, we fine the homeowner. And I've told you that I've used those fines to get bear-resistant bins. And also the privately managed rentals, the owners have called me and said, look, this isn't working. My renters are giving me bad reviews when they leave the mountain, and we need to do something. And I've told you that we've encouraged bear-resistant bins. The best answer, in my opinion, is to allow us to pick up those rental properties at curbside. It removes this entire trip of stinky garbage on the way off the mountain. You put it in the bear-resistant bin, we pick it up, we handle it. And for the most part, for the renter, the owners who have gone that route, I've not received a call back that said, this didn't work. You had me spend $800 to $1,000 on a bear-resistant bin and it didn't work. I've not received one of those. I get a lot of calls about it's not working, and then we talk about the bins. So why all this history? Well, it's trying to explain what the issue is, because we think we've come up with a viable solution we'd like you to consider. So the key is, in our opinion, is to increase curbside pickup. Increase the number of properties, curbside pickup, and that way we can manage the solid waste at the point of disposal. We can handle it fewer times. We reduce the number of people that don't know the system coming to the recycling center, and we're better able to manage the entire experience for everybody. So to do that, we need two things. We need to be able to effectively pick up an increase in curbside pickup, and we need the ability to require it. So you have talked in discussions over the months about requiring these privately owned short-term rentals to have bear-proof bins and require them to pick up us to pick up the garbage curbside. So in this exercise, we've reached out to other communities in our area: Sugar Mountain, Banner Elk, Boone, Blowing Rock, Seven Devils. And each one of them does it a little bit differently, but I want to discuss Sugar Mountain right now. Sugar Mountain, effective December 31st, 2020, passed an ordinance that requires all of the short-term rentals to have bear-resistant bins and to have their town pick it up. They do a similar to us with a town pickup. They've not had but about 45 days worth of experience there, so they don't have any history. But it's been done, and the pushback was minimal from what they tell me. And so that they've had the similar situation that we have, and they have solved it in that manner. The people who don't short-term rental or the professionally managed rentals, they still have curbside pickup. Right, can you fix that? I muted everybody.
Been hacked. Been hacked.
check out the other bag.
Right there. See it?
We'll run it off my computer. So, let me fix it. So the homeowners that don't rent or have professionally managed, just excuse me, have professionally managed ones, we would still offer curbside pickup. They would still have to put it in a bin. It would be up to you whether you made that a bear-resistant bin or not. Obviously, the fines in the ordinance still continue, and if we have people with problems, the fines have been successful, and that may work. So I met with Daniel and Matthew, and what we're proposing you to consider is a twice-a-week pickup, because rentals create a little bit more trash than full-time people, believe it or not. And if you have a once-a-week pickup, and you put your trash out on Sunday when you leave as a renter, and pickup is on Friday, that just doesn't work well. So we're proposing a twice-a-week pickup on residential, the curbside pickup via the bin. And we're proposing to do that with some smaller vehicles so that we can be a little bit more nimble and be a little bit more safer. And we'll talk about that in just a minute. So we believe that is the solution for residential curbside pickup for all three groups in the one subgroup. There are costs involved with all of these because we're in the process now of on our curbside routes we have scheduled in the budget in the capital improvement plan replacement of equipment. So instead of purchasing a big rear-mounted garbage truck, which we don't want to do, we would purchase smaller route trucks where we could pick up the curbside on a twice-a-week basis. There would also be additional manpower requirements to make that happen. And I'll give you some numbers in a little bit when we put that together. So before we move off residential, we also reached out to Republic Enterprises because a number of towns around us contract all of their garbage or some of their solid waste through Republic. So we reached out to Republic, and Daniel was able to get Republic to commit to some basic estimates. And Republic can do it all, not convenience center, but all meaning residential and commercial. They can do commercial, and they can haul for us from the convenience center, but not operate it. So we've got a quote, preliminary quote based on the model, how many tons they would move, but we have that option where we can contract some or all of this out. Before we go down that road, the town, in the history of the town, used a firm before Republic. It was called GDS, and they contracted all of their trash out. The town at the time made the decision to cancel that contract and get into the garbage business. They had quite a big expense because they had to go out and buy all equipment. They had to hire people to do it. And the reasons I'm told from people who were here back then is the service was not good, and they had a loss of control. So we discussed what that meant. Loss of control would be if you didn't get a pickup. And instead of calling us, where we try to be proactive and respond our guys with a pickup truck, if we have to, you're at the mercy of the contractor. Yes, we can build in requirements into the contract, but it's not quick enough to make the resident or the visitor happy, because it's usually a penalty on the contract. We'd still have to be in the garbage business to go fix some of these things. I think it would be unrealistic to say, well, we're just going to say call Republic. When our folks call us, we're a service community, and Public Works heads out the door to make it happen. So next, we need to go to commercial. Talk about commercial, and I put this picture on your dais. It's a picture of our current truck unloading a current dumpster in the most unsafe manner I can possibly imagine. And we've had a number of close calls. We've had injuries. Had a serious injury this year with one of our sanitation workers unloading a dumpster. And just recently, we had a dumpster fail on the back of the truck and crash through the fence. If you've seen the fence over there with the hole in it, that's what caused it. So before we go much further into the commercial, it's my opinion that we need to change the way we deal with dumpsters and garbage trucks. This system, although it works, is extremely hazardous. Notwithstanding the fact that we can't keep bears out of them, and notwithstanding the fact that we haven't found one commercial customer that likes these dumpsters. Almost all commercial customers who I've talked to would like to have the 8-yard cube, we call it, that has metal lids, has a slide door on the side, we've talked about it. It's animal resistant. It's also resistant to people dumping their trash in your dumpster. The Pinnacle has these, and we contract with Republic to pick up the Pinnacle's container. So we need, regardless of what we decide to do, what you decide to do on commercial, we need to change this operation. We need to change the truck, and we need to change the container. The most overriding issue for me as the manager is the safety to our employees. The next issue is it's just a better system if we can keep the bears out and have the proper equipment. So that is expensive because we have to buy new trucks that pick these cubes up from the front. We have to buy the cubes, containers, and it's a total revamp of the system, and that is expensive. That expense obviously gets passed along to our customers because the sanitation fund is not supported by tax dollars, by ad valorem tax dollars. The sanitation fund, similar to the water and sewer, is funded wholly by the fees we charge monthly for sanitation. So the rate that we have for sanitation has to pay for the entire sanitation system, from picking up the bag at your house, to picking up the dumpster at the store, to loading it, to hauling it, to paying to dump it, repair it. Everything that is encompassed in the sanitation budget has to be paid for by fees. So obviously there's a huge incentive to keep the costs down so that the fees can be manageable and not put our residents and our businesses in a bad light. So to do this, like I said, we have to buy trucks and equipment, and we have that figured. It's expensive. It approaches $1 million to put that in place. But on the commercial side, if we're going to be in the garbage business, we're going to have to do it in the proper way and benefit everybody. We have a proposal from Republic, who will handle all the commercial, much like we do with the Pinnacle. They'll supply the cans, the dumpsters, the 8-yard cubes. They already have the trucks and the drivers, and their rate is slightly above what we're currently charging today. The difference is that we have experience at the Pinnacle with Republic, and it's not a good experience because when it's not flexible, it's not responsive. So when the Pinnacle, for instance, has their peak winter season or peak summer season, they need additional capacity that they don't need in the fall and in the spring. And so with each additional capacity, there's additional costs. So if we call Republic and we say bring another 2 dumpsters to the Pinnacle, there's a cost involved, and the Pinnacle pays for that through us. And it's just not as responsive as the town is. We're able to do things, you call me and say they didn't pick my garbage up, I call Daniel or Matthew and someone leaves Public Works and goes and picks it up. We still have an unhappy customer, but we get it resolved pretty quickly. It doesn't happen with the Pinnacle. They call and they didn't pick up my trash. We go check it out and we find out that that's because the dumpster was hidden by all the extra trash they had piled around it. So the driver has rules, they don't pick it up. I'm not sure I want to tell you what we do. We send our people up there with a pickup truck and we grab all the garbage off the ground and we haul it to the convenience center. Because we want to be responsive to our customers and to our taxpayers. You're going to lose that unless we're going to follow them around and clean up after them. You lose some of that flexibility and control. What we gain is a tremendous reduction in capital expenditures. We don't have to buy 2 of these front-loading trucks. We don't have to buy, how many boxes we were talking about? 50 containers. And then subsequently, we don't have to pass that cost on to our commercial customer. There is some downside to that. Republic would not contract under this proposal at this low rate, would not contract individually with the businesses. They would run the contract through the town like we do with the Pinnacle, which means we're still in the garbage business and means we have to be the middleman and manage that. It is far more cost effective per ton of garbage to do it by contracting the commercial out, but it does have some issues that we have to deal with that have some costs. We would have to have people who manage that. We'd have to still have the quick response crew of Daniel and Matthew and somebody to grab a truck and go pick up garbage that didn't get picked up. But if we're looking to get into that business, that's the most cost-effective way to do it.
Chief, why will they not contract this out individually with commercial businesses?
They don't want to. Number one, the price that they quoted us was substantially lower than what we have. 2 or 3 businesses that have contracted directly with Republic, and they're at substantially higher rates. So to get the better rate, they would contract through the town. We've asked them to get us out of the business, and Republic does not want to do that.
Plus, the town guarantees they're gonna get paid. That's why they want the town.
Well, they want one-stop shop. Yeah, exactly. But there's no reason from the town that they can't. Republic has more than once told us that they don't wish to do that, and the rates they gave us were substantially lower than what they're giving to the commercial customers that they have currently on the mountain, which I think is only 2, if that answers the question. So commercial, your choice is, do we do it? And we certainly can. Or do we try to contract that out? And we can do that as well. The next piece is the convenience center. No one wants to contract that from us. You know we're transitioning to a new convenience center. I've shared some of the issues that I think we're going to experience there with the compactors, the recycling and things like that. The convenience center we're proposing is to operate similar to it as it does now, with reduced tonnage coming into the door based on the residential, and we won't have any more commercial if we contract it out. That will reduce the available tonnage at the recycling center. I should note, it doesn't reduce the total tonnage coming off the mountain. We still have the same amount of garbage. It's how we're dealing with it, how we're picking it up, how we're handling it, how it's getting off the mountain. So the convenience center, we would recommend that we operate it as it's been designed. As we talked about, continue the placard system. We believe that for that system to work, we need to have the attendant operate the compactor. It can't be operated by the public. We need to basically take the bag of garbage out of the car, put it in the compactor. When the compactor reaches its level, compact it. We need to be able to move those compacted cans to the landfill in Watauga. Currently, we're doing about 3 trips a day. We think that may come down to 2 trips a day, depending on what you decide to do with commercial. We have 1 truck that's able to carry that compactor. We call it the cable truck. It's a big cable that pulls the compactor up on the truck. That's a single point of failure. And if that truck were to break down or required maintenance, or we had to send it to the shop, we don't have the ability to move any of those compactors. Assuming they fill up on a weekend, Monday morning, the truck isn't available for whatever reason, we're stuck. So that single point of failure, Daniel has put together a proposal to purchase a second cable truck with a second CDL driver so that we can move trash tonnage off the mountain more efficiently, and we also have some sort of backup if we have a failure. We don't have any other vehicle that we can move that container. So we reached out to the Republic and we said, can you help us out here? If we have a failure, will you haul our stuff? They will if they have the commercial contract for garbage. They won't. I can't call them today and say, send me a truck to haul off our container. They also said that for them to do that service, they'll need to provide the compactor containers, which we own now. So that's probably not a viable option. It looks to be more cost effective for us to buy a second cable truck and staff it so that we can move our convenience center garbage out. Okay.
And what's the cost of the second truck?
$200,000 for a second cable truck. So before we get into the weeds here, let me tell you that Banner Elk contracts Republic for all of their waste, everything. They don't run a convenience center, they don't pick up garbage. Banner Elk has Republic do it all. Sugar Mountain requires all receptacles to be bear resistant. They pick up all of their trash and they do it one time per week.
Chief, how do they handle their convenience center?
The convenience center is run by the county in Sugar Mountain.
Oh, and okay.
Yeah,
Do you have the police department or town hall?
Yes.
Okay.
That was recently moved
Okay.
to that location from out on 194 Banner Elk. It was moved to Sugar Mountain, and that's run by the county.
Yes, sir.
Seven Devils has no service. They require their residents to use the county facility. And Boone contracts with Republic for everything. Blowing Rock does it in-house, all of it, but they don't operate a convenience center. And they've got the equipment that we've been talking about for the 8-yard dumpster. So let's talk some dollars and cents here. I've got the quote from Republic. Really don't want to, they're within 2 or 3% of what we're charging now for commercial, for residential, if you choose to have them do that. And remember, they won't do the convenience center for us.
Another question on Republic, we don't lose any employees by contracting through them.
Well, if we contract everything, residential and commercial, we would not need a sanitation department other than if you chose to run the convenience center, which I hope you do, we would need to retain employees to run the convenience center.
Okay, so we're not losing any town employees
Well,
by
there could be
forward with
there
this.
could be some savings. We would reassign those, repurpose those into public works because actually we're in this budget proposal, as you saw in our plan, we're going to ask for additional employees.
Okay.
We could possibly repurpose those.
Okay.
But remember that if you contract out to Republic everything, the convenience center still has to be operated, and that is very labor intensive. We still have to have attendants. We still have to have truck drivers. We still have to have people to transfer the convenience center trash into the compactor or into the open transfer that we have. So it doesn't eliminate our sanitation department.
Okay, good.
So let's talk about residential. Let's go back to the beginning. Residential, we want to offer 2 times a week because we think that's the solution to most of the problem out there. If we're going to convince the rental properties to leave the trash on site in bear-resistant bins, it can't stay there for 5 to 7 days. So we propose like a Monday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, two times a week. And we've actually run the routes in that scenario. I had Matthew and some supervisors run the route to see if it was feasible. It is, we can do that. I think that's a benefit to, I think it solves a problem, but I think it's a benefit to the community at large to offer 2 times per week. Remember, it doesn't decrease our tonnage, but what it does, it allows us to pick it up quicker and less of it to handle at any given time. Everybody that's been here on a weekend, particularly a holiday weekend, knows that by the end of Sunday or Monday, our convenience center is full. It's not that we have more tonnage than we would if we did something different. It's just all sitting in one place, stacked up above the containers, and now we have to deal with it on Monday morning. The worst case scenario, and I've shared this with you, is on a holiday weekend where we can't haul it Monday. We have to hold it and haul it on Tuesday. So that's why we're still going to need a sanitation department, a robust sanitation department to make that happen. If we can handle the waste at the residential curbside pickup twice a week, we think we can do a better job where we're dealing with the same tonnage on a consistent basis instead of these high peaks of load. We would propose smaller 2-ton style collection vehicles. I didn't bring you a picture of those. We would obviously need sanitation workers to run that route. And as important, we would need a partnership with the residents, including education on, we want to get it in the bin properly so that we can pick it up quickly. It can't be loose garbage. It has to be, the ordinance says there's a 35-gallon container, 2 of them, it's got to be bagged. We need to be able to pick up the bag and put it in the truck. Many times we use an open bed truck, so there's no ability to throw loose garbage into the open bed truck. And to do that 2 times a week residential, we would need to restructure the commercial side of the house. If we're going to pick up commercial with the big front end loaders, we would need to reconsider how we're going to use that equipment for a 2-time-a-week residential pickup. So the cost for that is about $160,000 is what we propose.
For 2 vehicles?
For that 2 times a week system that we're talking about total. That's personnel, that's the vehicles, and correct me if I'm wrong. Am I good?
You said 2 trucks?
That's two trucks.
2 trash trucks, not
Daniel
small
says-
vehicles.
Daniel
Dan
says
saying
one.
one.
It's the purchase of a single truck. We have 1 truck.
Okay.
Right.
Then how many men would be per truck?
2.
2?
So we could do that at what's estimated, and we'd like, if you choose this, we'd like to be the ability to be able to fine tune the numbers. They won't be off 2 or 3%, but about $160,000.
And that's beyond the cost of the extra truck, the $200,000.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, yeah,
That's a separate, that's a separate.
we'll put it all together. We'll put it all together for you when we get to the end.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So we're proposing that 2 times a week pickup with smaller trucks. We can't do that if you don't do something on commercial. Because if I still have to pick up commercial with the same crews, I can't use these trucks. I've got to go to the much bigger project of picking up commercial with front-end loaded trucks. So keep that in mind. So we talked about the convenience center. We need to operate that convenience center with at least 2 attendants. The town has chosen to do that 7 days a week, 365. I think we should continue that at least till we get into the new center, see how it works. With the caveat that if this 2 times a week pickup curbside, we can move the tonnage to the curbside pickup. I would then come back to you, say mid 2021 or January of 22, and recommend a change of hours at the convenience center. The convenience center is very expensive. Nobody around us operates at 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, 365. And to man that properly with two attendants all the time, you can't do that with just 2 employees. So I think after we see how this transitions and how the new center works, you may want to consider saving some money. by reducing the hours and the days that the convenience center operates. Most convenience centers around us, Watauga and Avery, are 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, and their costs are substantially lower than ours. So we're going to ask you to, as we move into the new center, to have 2 attendants there whenever it's open. So that gets us to commercial. I've told you what your choices are. We can do it. It's the estimate I've got is $720,000 to do commercial ourselves.
And that includes 50 8-yard cubes and 2 front unload.
Yes, sir.
And we have to have 2?
Well, if we accept the requirements, and you're a businessman, if the town says we're going to handle your commercial, and I can't operate that truck on the day I'm supposed to pick you up, you're not going to be happy with me. And if that truck can't pick up your commercial dumpster for a week, you see the problem. So we're going to need 2 trucks to be able to run the routes, to have some redundancy. It's similar with the cable truck. So that 720 is 2 trucks, 50 cubes, and the personnel required. I have to have CDL drivers for those trucks, and the personnel to do that.
That's 2 new trucks, chief.
We're not
Or-
paying for those, right?
Pardon me?
That's part of Republic, right?
This is a,
No,
this is
this
an
is-
option.
we do it.
This is the town.
Okay.
So
This
this,
is if we do it.
this is 2 new trucks for the town?
Yes.
720K?
Yes.
Out of that 720K, you're going to have to hire a second CDL driver?
Yes.
At least.
Um,
But either way, we're hiring one of those for a cable truck.
Right.
Well,
For-
the person who's driving the front end loader truck can't drive the cable truck, obviously. I've got to be able to pick up your garbage 5 days a week, and I've got to be able to haul the boom 3 times a day. So what I don't want you to do is kind of outthink me here and say, well, if I do this, then I don't have to get that other CDL driver. If the 2 trucks are going to require 2 CDL drivers, and the cable truck's going to require a CDL driver. I may be able to repurpose one of those, but there's at least going to be 2 requirements. So understand that once we make the capital purchase, we still have the ongoing personnel costs that will be here forever. You know, personnel costs, as you all know, doesn't go away. Purchasing the truck, you know, you write the check, the purchase is done. Next year we have maintenance, but we don't have a cost. The personnel costs are forever.
Chief, I've got a question. If we choose to go this direction, right now, what I've heard you say, or what we've heard you say is, Republic does have a contract with us for the Pinnacle and a couple other places.
Yes, ma'am.
When we no longer have a contract with them, we would then, as a town, handle those units as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes.
Significant savings on if we lease the trucks or we lease the 8-yard cubes.
The plan is we would lease the cubes to the commercial owner. We estimated that would be about $30 a month on top of the dumpster fee. And then at the end of a 3-year period, we could 100% pay for the cost of the cube. Currently, we can't lease those from the manufacturer, but we would purchase those. They're about $1,200 a piece. And then we would lease those over a 3-year period so that we had a continuous replacement program. Leasing the trucks, I can't lease the new ones. The older ones we talked about, it's not really a lease, it's like a lease purchase. It's like buying a Lexus, you know, at $149 a month. The better thing to do there would be to, if you wanted to finance it as opposed to lease it. But we could look into that.
What's Republic's rate for this?
Well, so let's finish up. If we take it over, it's going to be $720,000 plus as we move forward, and we would take over all commercial garbage.
And what's the increase to the residents?
We haven't figured that yet, because until I know all of what you want to do, I can't put it into the rate model.
Okay, now the one thing you did mention was condos. How would condos fill into this program?
Okay, all right, can we finish commercial?
Okay,
So you have the option of us at 720, or we contract with GDS for commercial. GDS gave us a ballpark number of $155 a month for one 8-yard cube dumpster, one pickup a week. We're currently charging the customer $150. And then we would pay the tipping fee, correct? So we would pay for the tonnage at Watauga, and they would pick up the once a week pickup at the business for $155 per container. So if the business wanted 2 containers or 2 times a week, it would be a multiple of the 155. We would not buy any trucks, we would not buy any containers, we would not hire any CDL drivers. We lose control, and we run into some issues there as I've discussed.
Daniel, what do you got?
Well, they've only offered us once weekly pickup.
They won't come more often?
In the past, no, she was not pleased to hear that. If we were to break it down, as opposed to them taking everything, if they only took commercial, it restricts some of what they do. She offered me once weekly pickup.
Okay,
So what hap,
I'm sorry.
that being the case, if the commercial business uses more than 1 can, if they had 2 cans, obviously they're going to empty those 2 cans, correct?
Well, instead of multiple pickups, you would have multiple cans.
Right. Well, I didn't know if you're restricted to 1 pickup, 1 can, or if there was flexibility that you could have multiple cans.
Multiple cans, at this point, before we go further, they're offering us once weekly pickup. If you have 5 cans, they'll pick those 5,
Okay,
but it's once a week.
For
okay,
instance, Pinnacle has 5. They pick them up once a week. We've been able to add to those at peak demand where they might have 7. They pick those 7 up once a week. So it appears from what Daniel's telling us that the option of additional pickups is not an option. And that's something to consider going forward. That's again, lack of control and lack of quick response. But there's substantial savings to the town to do that.
How big are the dumpsters, commercial businesses out there?
You have the 8-yard open top,
Okay.
and these are 8-yard cubes.
So they're the same yardage?
Yeah. Okay, anything else on commercial?
Who pays the tipping fee?
We do,
The town or the customer?
the town. Well, the customer pays for it all.
Okay.
But yes, the contract will be with the town. We will then bill the number of dumpsters to the commercial account, and that tipping fee will be built into the rate. It'll be a single rate that we'll put together. We've got the rate model ready to go. We just need to know what you want us to do so we can plug it in, and we tell you what the rates are.
So we're talking about the dumpsters down at Rascals that are bear-proof. Are those the cubes you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, he has 1. The Pinnacle has 5, and I'm sure there's 1 more. Who else has it?
That's the only 2 that
I know that the club has been interested in these cube dumpsters for some time.
So what's been the response from businesses up here to this proposal? I'm sure you've talked with them.
Well, most want the cube. Most want it to be more responsive, and they want it to be as inexpensive as possible. But I need to answer the mayor's question, but part of the problem we find ourselves in commercial is that some of the commercial properties haul their garbage to the recycling center themselves and don't have a dumpster. And this kind of feeds into the multifamily. Some of the businesses have dumpsters, but have peak times where they overflow and they haul their trash to the convenience center. So you could argue that in those instances, those businesses were paying less than what they should have been based on the amount of trash they have. And we have a mix of that in commercial. So to answer the mayor's question, multifamily. Remember I told you that multifamily in the past got rid of their dumpsters and they were only paying a limited fee, And we changed that last year, and now everybody in multifamily is paying for, each unit is paying a residential rate, similar to a single-family home. The ordinance allows the town to determine at a multifamily whether they have bins, dumpsters. They have to have one or the other. The ordinance does not allow them to operate, as some are, with nothing. Some literally put a bag of garbage out on the edge of the road on their pickup day, and because the town is very responsive, we pick it up. But the ordinance doesn't allow that, and the town is kind of helping these things get worse. I'm not proposing that we don't pick it up, because we don't pick it up in the bag, we come back in a couple hours and we pick it up all over the woods. But the fact is that they're paying now, they weren't, but they're paying now a residential rate, but they don't have a bin or they don't have a dumpster. And so, Mayor, on a multifamily, they have to have one or the other. And it would be up to the town to work with that multifamily to put in dumpsters, which would be a commercial pickup, or bins, which would be a residential pickup. So depending on how, if you've got 200 units, that's, in my opinion, going to be a dumpster. If you've got 10 or 14, it could be a bin.
Right.
And we'll have to work with each one of those to determine which it is, but they'll have to have one or the other.
Yeah, I'd much prefer to have a dumpster than a bin.
Well, the dumpster is less expensive. If you have 10 units and you're paying $23 a month per unit, $230 a month, and a dumpster is $150. So it may be more cost effective for them to use a dumpster. And some of them are just realizing that now since we started charging the correct rate. They're saying, well, wait, I can cut, $100 a month off my bill if I get a dumpster. Can I get a dumpster? And therein lies the problem. We don't know what we're doing with dumpsters at this point. So did that answer your question, Mayor, what the proposal is? The multifamily have to have one or the other. It would be per the ordinance that exists today, and the town would work with them to decide which it's going to be.
How's you said Jim Fry, Rascals has the,
Yeah.
so who's servicing that?
Republic.
But I thought Republic doesn't do,
He contracted through them.
They tell us you can't do that, but
it's contract,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
he does. He contracts with Republic.
How's he like the service?
And he's not going to say anything to me. Have you heard from Jim Fry?
I've asked, and he's been pleased with the service. But to go back to, the commercial rates, is that, or the commercial side of this thing, if you're a commercial business and you go from having to have one dumpster a week to requiring two, that's a nice problem to have. I mean, obviously your business is up substantially. Correct?
So I read through the ordinance. What defines a multifamily? Is it a single house that has a
No.
certain number of people, or
It's more than 2 dwelling units.
more than 2 dwelling? Okay.
So a townhouse would not be a multifamily,
Okay.
it's 2. But more than 2 would be a multifamily, and that's defined.
Okay.
So I don't know that we have any that are really, close. The smallest one we have, I think, is 10 units. We've got some 14, 16s, and then we've got some really big ones. The issue there, quite frankly, is they've all adapted to a hybrid system that we have today, and it's different. And everybody, although they're paying now their residential rate, some have buildings they built to put trash in, which if we or Republic go to pick it up with cubes, that's not going to work. We can't we can't take the truck, and so everybody's got to be on the same program. It can't be this I'm going to do it this way, you're going to do it that way. If it's commercial, regardless of who picks it up, us or Republic, it's going to have to be the 8-yard cube front load truck for commercial.
Okay.
So I've talked enough. I want to see, we want to answer your questions, and what I'd like to get is, like I said, some direction on how you would like us to proceed. Oh, well, the last option, because I asked Daniel to give this to me. We don't do anything. Because that's an option. The option is you just stay with what we have. And a couple things I want to tell you about that. It's not cost-free. We do have a truck, one of these rear load trucks in the CIP budgeted to replace this year. We have one truck that has to be replaced. We would still have to man the convenience center with 2 people. So there's additional cost there. We would still need a cable truck to continue the same. If you chose to do nothing and use the existing system, we would still need those items to continue the service we have today. It does nothing about the safety, and I really want to hit on that again. Us picking these cans up at the businesses in this manner is not safe. But if you chose for us to continue going forward with the system we have today, we would still need the truck, the trash truck, the cable truck, and the people at the convenience center.
What I would want to ensure our commercial accounts that, let's just say hypothetically, that we would choose to go with Republic. I mean, it's a substantial savings for the town and the taxpayers. That the commercial businesses would have the flexibility that during their peak season, that they would be assured that they could get a second dumpster. And what that time period would be. Once you call Republic, so we're going to need a second dumpster. You know, hopefully, if you give them a 30-day window or a 14-day window, they would be able to accomplish that. I know during some times that we've had at our plant when we've needed another dumpster, they normally get us one within 24 hours. And they drop it, and you know, it's hiccup free. But
I think too, the cost to commercial customers trying to go down this route is effective for them, and that gives them the ability to not have to keep taking trash to the convenience center, which a lot of them have been doing because they got rid of their dumpsters because we told them to get rid of their dumpsters.
Not to argue the point, but I don't recall any businesses being, correct me if I'm wrong, any businesses were told they had to get rid of their dumpsters.
They weren't told, but they did because of the bears.
They were allowed.
Yeah, so it just made it easier for the Boy Scouts to clean up through the woods than,
From what I
Keep it
understand, we
dumpster.
call the town, pick up my dumpster, we're not gonna use it because of the bear problem. And we'll just bring it to the convenience center, and the town accommodated that. We didn't follow up and properly bill them for that change, that's been solved. But that's how our convenience center became a massive site for solid waste. And it really was never designed to be that. And the new center is even less acclimated to do that, which is why I think we need to get the trash picked up on site as opposed to bringing it to us.
Jimmy?
I'd like to hear from Matt and Dan, what they think, unless it's reiterating what you said.
Ask
I mean, you guys are the ones dealing with
Yeah.
the people.
Time to step
suggestions,
up to the plate.
ideas, who's angry, who's not angry.
They're all angry.
Well, you have all the facts. Bob has presented everything we've discussed, and we've done the best we could to provide you with the options and the answers. I believe that as far as us as employees and trying to provide a service to the town, not in jest, I would say we would ask you to stop the violence. We have a lot of disgruntled employees because they are yelled at constantly. We have it either on the telephone, we have it in the recycling center, or we have it from upset business owners. All of which I can understand their concerns. At the same time, we don't have an infrastructure that would support a change that would provide the level of service that they would like to see. So with that said, I believe that we would simply look at what level of service as a public works department you would ask us to provide to our customers. We've talked a lot about Republic. Republic has a lot of benefits for me, myself. I would love to see someone else take care of the garbage. And that's the truth of the matter. While at the same time, I realize someone else does not live here. Someone else does not work here. So we would, if the town manages this program, be more responsive. We would be able to offer more options and more personalized care. Hopefully a more carefree system. While at the same time, that carries its costs. The recycling center, the convenience center, very much the same way. The number of people we staff it with directly relates to the level of service that you receive while you're there. If you get the bag taken out of the trunk of your vehicle, if you're hands-free, if you're told where to place your recyclables so that we don't have contamination issues, and we get to truly recycle. You know, those things require people to direct. Jimmy, if you call me and ask me for an additional pickup, I like to be able to say to you, man, I'll be there soon. I'll be there as shortly as possible. I don't like to tell you it will be tomorrow because the only truck that I have is broken, or all of my guys are on another task. We kind of find ourselves in the middle, and we have jested a lot about it, but as we all know, the purpose of this meeting is the town of Beech Mountain in the garbage business, or are we not? You know, I think that from the public works standpoint, we would simply like to have that direction, and given that direction, support us with it. Allow us to do the job that you would have us to do to keep a happy customer base. You know, all of these options provide some shade of that. All of the options taken together puts the town of Beech Mountain Public Works into the garbage business, a full-service garbage provider with a lot of flexibility.
Well, we're in the garbage business regardless if we want it or not.
That's correct.
I mean, unfortunately, that's reality.
And that
I mean,
exactly.
how we deal with it is a separate issue, but we are in the garbage business. There's nothing we can do about that. We started 40 years ago, we should have not, I mean, it's a sidetrack, but I walked Eagle's Nest yesterday, and there is not one trash bin or container anywhere on Eagle's Nest. Now, somebody's got to be, people have got to be dealing with their garbage.
Right.
Somewhere, somehow. I mean, I don't see a bin, I don't see a container, I see nothing. So 40 years ago here, we started in the garbage business, we're in it. The question is how we do it,
Yeah.
is really the big issue.
Yeah. how do you
If-
deal with it?
The only problem I have is we deal with the Republic. You're not gonna get the service, or the residents gonna get the service that they got now. They're gonna come once a week. If it snows, they ain't coming. And they might come 2 days later. We're not gonna have control, so what's gonna happen is that you're gonna get a call to Public Works, they haven't picked up my garbage. Now, you can't turn around and say, well, Republic, you know, it was snowing, they couldn't come out, they'll be there on Friday. That ain't gonna fly, you know that. So you're gonna have to send another truck anyway. And you're still gonna have to pick it up.
I
And
think,
you're gonna have no control, because you're gonna call, I mean, the guy on the other end of the phone is gonna say, okay, but he don't give it, whatever, because he's got 900 million customers. But our residents, as you know, just with the fact that they have to go to the convenience center and have to have a tag, are screaming at our employees. Can you imagine you getting a call saying that, you know, we had people, our own people don't pick up garbage and we're getting calls left, right, and center. So to me, as long as we're controlling it, is the only way to go. Because we're gonna pay Republic this way, and we're gonna pay this way, because you're not gonna tell the customer, hey, I'm sorry, we're not gonna pick it up. It's a no-win situation. So if you're gonna do it, you might as well do it yourself.
so Republic, I think with Republic Services not being able to get up here is going to be very isolated cases.
Well, we've had a
And
pinnacle.
Republic Services didn't get to where they were today, not being customer oriented. And with the millions of dollars that the town's already spending, and with our water infrastructure, I can't see spending $720,000 whenever Republic can do this for, unless I miss something. Why do we want to spend $720,000 when Republic can do it for $155 a week?
Well, you do it because you want to be in the garbage business and you want that level of control.
I don't think that level of control is worth $720,000. And you know, I mean, if we would, you know, try to save this money and we can utilize the town resources elsewhere and the town employees elsewhere, you know, I'm sure there's plenty of days where the town's shorthanded. So we would be able to utilize, you know, resources in other areas providing services.
Well, let me ask you something. In the 720, is that the 200,000 included the truck?
Yes.
So it's down to 500?
Well, no,
Because we got to buy the cable truck one way or the other.
No, the cable truck is not in the 720.
It's not in the
There's two garbage trucks.
Right, so that's 150.
The convenience center has the cable truck in it. The convenience center needs the second cable truck because we have to haul our own garbage no matter what. Republic can't and won't do that.
And in our budget right now, we have one truck we got to purchase anyway,
Correct.
already in the budget.
It's budgeted, it's in the CIP.
Correct, so in reality is we're only buying one truck. I mean, over and above the budget.
Yes.
So if we're looking at Republic, we're looking at commercial pickup only, not residential, single-family homes?
Well, that's my question. Can we not do like a two-pronged system? Encourage the commercial sector to work with
Republic?
Republic, and then we continue to service the residential multifamily.
Yeah.
Would multifamily not be commercial? That's where
They
I
would.
It would be,
So-
If they had a dumpster.
right.
If multifamily that had a dumpster would be commercial.
Could we not do a two-pronged system like that?
Well, we could, and actually, that's what, sort of what we're recommending. We think we should do the residential 2 times a week.
Requiring fair,
With-
safe
with
containers.
bins.
So what made you decide Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday?
I think those days are
Because
flexible.
most rentals
You can make it.
leave on Sunday.
Because across the street, I used to be like Tuesday,
And Friday,
Okay.
and then me and Dan and Bob met, and we went to Friday.
yeah.
Because all of our rentals are always moving out on Sunday, which,
I think that's a flexible
Right.
issue. I think we should consider the two, I guess what
Two-pronged
Bob
system
and the staff is recommending, and use Republic.
for commercial and the multi-units.
Yeah. But
There's-
what I don't like is Republic not being upfront with, obviously Rascals is working with Republic, so I'm confused there.
I'm not sure, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not sure that they won't do one like they do with Rascals. They won't give this price. We seem to know what Rascals is paying, and it's almost double what they're offering us.
Well, also that dumpster is used for beach towers.
I don't think so.
No?
no, it's just Rascals.
I thought it was beach towers
We
also.
pick up these towers, can't we?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
So that's
It's separate.
autonomous?
We pick up a beach towers can.
Okay.
The town does.
So if we do it as a town, we'll put a group rate. And for example, Rascals is paying, they're saying double. I mean, is that,
We're told that he's paying almost double the 155 that we were quoted.
It's volume discount, any way you look at it. With
Yeah.
Republic, if you have, if you've got 5 cans with them at your business, you're buying your rate
I'm trying
down.
to wrap my head around.
Yeah,
Why
yeah.
would they come up here for one commercial business?
Because they're
I'm
making
talking
money.
about the Pinnacle. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, they're making
Why would you
money.
not stop at 10 restaurants?
Right.
You're already up here, the travel cost is in. I'm a little confused.
Yeah, well, I'm not
Well,
sure.
they were the first ones to get that dumpster.
I'm
the
not
bigger-
sure Republic, I don't understand their business model.
Yeah.
They haven't shared it with us. But I do know that the price they gave us was almost 50% what we know independent businesses, and I hate to say that publicly, but
Yeah.
what he's being
No, no,
charged. So I think and they made it very clear they don't want to do it per business, they want to do it through the town. In other words, they would sign a contract with us,
Sure.
number of cans, number of weeks, and then we would collect from the businesses through our sanitation fee, and we would write Republic a check, which is how we do it with the Pinnacle. You know, nothing is easy, nothing is, that's why we're here.
Yes, sir.
This is why we need to make some decisions. The model at the Pinnacle is what we're talking about, expanding into the town.
Right.
And I can tell you that the model at the Pinnacle causes us problems. Poor service, complaints, things like that. And we do respond, just like you said, when Pinnacle calls, these guys send a pickup truck, we go clean it up so that Republic can pick up the dumpster. That's not gonna change.
Question, Chief, if we had more, if we did it as a town, and we had, you know, and everybody had a commercial, but we started out with a larger amount of dumpsters. I mean, for example, we know ski season or holidays, we're going to have more people up here. Can we just get more? In other words, rather than the Pinnacle have 5.
That would be up to the business to decide how many
Yeah.
dumpsters they want.
Right,
Well, so I guess what I'm getting from everybody is use a two-phase approach. Phase one would be the commercial would use Republic. And the residential, we'd have to do it.
You know, so if you,
So multifamily and commercial.
So my question is,
Right.
and if we do the two-prong structure, whatever you want to call it, is when Republic, if they fail to show up on a Friday, and the business or the businesses choose to take that garbage to the convenience center, how does it? Because they're no longer paying for the town service.
We'll take your credit card at the gate.
But I'm just,
Yeah.
and another thing.
That's a possibility.
I want us to consider is for the commercial, we don't have that many commercial businesses up here, so I'd like a consensus from each business or condo, and, because it seems like that's who's gonna be affected the most if we choose this two-prong stage or whatever.
Well, even if you choose for the town to do the commercial, it would have to be the same set of rules for the commercial. In other words, if you chose for us to purchase the trucks and dumpsters and we did it as opposed to Republic, it would still be the same set of rules.
But I still think they need to know that if we choose not to do that, and we're going to go with Republic, that they're aware.
Oh, yeah. No, I think the public education piece is extremely important. Because there's not going to be a whole lot of happy people because I think the commercial costs, not the multifamily that's paying more than they were before. I think the commercial costs are going to increase, especially if the town does it. We have to take that $720,000 and build it into the rates, the commercial rates.
Remember that, we're charging it.
I know, that's
No,
part of the
And
bills.
this,
So the bills are gonna go up.
Answer.
Charge that.
When you
Yeah.
guys say
That's
typically,
when your
is that
utility bills go
like
up.
when it tips over, is it by poundage or what?
Yes.
You know, what about when the business is slow? Are they penalized for that tipping fee? That's all, or is it an annual cost? That's what I'm.
It would be built into the rate overall. In other words, if you had a business and you had an 8-yard dumpster and it was charged at $155 a month per one pickup, that rate would have to include the fee to dump 8 yards of trash is measured by weight at the transfer station. And we wouldn't measure your can and bill you. It would be a monthly fee back to the town, like it is now. When we take a container and dump it, we pay a tipping fee, and that's built into the rates for everybody. So right now, the commercial tipping tonnage is built into the rates that everybody pays, residential and commercial. Because we take that, it was $82,000. We spent $82,000 on tipping fees, and that had to be built into the rates. We put that in the model, built it into the rates. What I'm proposing is that if we go to the hybrid, on the commercial side, that tipping fee would then only be attributed to the commercial rates in the model.
I follow.
You know, if we went with Republic, I feel confident that it will work. And if we allow the condo associations and businesses to discuss this amongst themselves, we're going to be here 6 months in the same predicament that we're in today. But rather than allowing the town to do this and spending the $720,000, we allow Republic Services to do this and see how it works, because there's no investment on the town's part. And then if it doesn't work with Republic, then we reboot.
Well, the deal is it's a 5-year contract with a CPI index each year on the contract. So you're at least into it for 5 years. That would be similar to if you purchase the equipment to get into it yourself. 5 years on one of those trucks is about replacement time.
Well, again, Republic Services didn't get to where they are today, not being successful in their business model.
To speak to a point that Jimmy had made, I do want to make it clear, as we have problems with this, if the town does not switch our gear, okay, Republic uses different gear than we do. So if we do split and they handle the commercial, while the town is always here to help, at that point, we don't have the gear to flip the can that you would have. So, if you say call me up and say my dumpster's running over, I know Republic does it, but can you help me? And no, I can't,
That's
We-
why I think it's important
Yeah.
we do ask the businesses and have a consensus.
Aaron, you didn't say anything.
I agree with Jimmy. I think, I like the two-pronged effect, and I think Republic is obviously successful. But I agree with Jimmy in the fact that I think we need to let our commercial businesses have a little bit of input to see what their thought would be. That would be more business. I've heard Daniel say that it would be helpful to them, and that it would free up time for them to be able to do a little bit more if we had Republic do commercial. But I like Jimmy's idea, because I think we need to talk to the businesses and see what their thought would be and get some kind of consensus. That would take care of commercial.
My only concern is we're gonna end up doing it anyway.
So I have a question
I
couldn't hear.
my only concern is we're gonna end up doing it anyway.
Utility bills.
That's my concern.
Utility bills are
And
going
we
to
won't
stay the
have the
same,
equipment to
right?
go and do it.
The sanitation is billed on the utility bills, but it has no reflection on utilities.
So even if we decide to do this, we're not increasing,
No, that's not true.
That's, no.
If the town takes over the commercial, that's the most expensive, and the commercial rates would go up substantially. If Republic handles commercial, that would keep the rates similar to what they are now, but there would be an increase.
Okay.
But very similar to what we have now. So that's commercial. On residential, if the town continues it, there wouldn't be an immediate rate increase. We plug it into the model, and that's why I don't want to commit just now. But we can't fund personnel and equipment out of the existing rate structure. It barely covers what we need now. So to recap, to keep the commercial rate as close as it is now, Republic should do the work. If you want us to do the work, the rates would go up substantially, because we need to spend $720,000 to get started. That needs to be absorbed into the rate structure at some point in time.
My vote, or my opinion is that the commercial businesses and multi-dwellings up here, condominium complexes, they contract this out through Republic, And then to recap from earlier in the meeting with renters will be required to have bear-proof bins. Town picks this up. And then for residential, the homeowners, they'll have the option to put their trash out and or come to the recycling center. Recycling center is going to be a bottleneck. I mean, it already is. And it's not going to, it's.
Do you like the twice a week pickup?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All right. I'm just making sure I get it.
Yeah, twice a week. I mean, you can't do it once a week. It's not, that's going to be ineffective.
Well, that's what we do now. We do once a week.
Yep.
On the multifamily, all multifamily or commercial, or can there be a break point? We have some multifamily that are 10 unit, and they could put out a bin or bins, bear resistant bins or wind bins, and we could pick that up on curbside. Or the bigger ones could put in a dumpster. Is there any flexibility there, or you just want all the?
I think so, depending on how large the unit is. I mean, obviously you wouldn't be, I'm going to use the Pinnacle for an example. You wouldn't be able to use that at the Pinnacle. But some of these smaller units, I think, provided that they have enough bear-proof bins that is going to be adequate for their consumption.
Well, the current ordinance that we have in place allows the town, the public works director, to decide if dumpsters are required at multifamily or bins. And if that's acceptable, we would continue that, and we would be able to have the smaller ones use bins and the larger ones use dumpsters.
But the same business would be paying different prices, right?
I'm sorry.
With the same, the two businesses, even though, like Widener's saying, a smaller dwelling versus the Pinnacle, they're gonna be paying two different prices.
Well,
The
yeah,
same bag of trash.
a dumpster is less expensive than a monthly rate per residential unit.
I mean, you could leave it up to the multifamily or the condo association. Do we want to put in bins and or do we want to put in a dumpster? And they can do the math and figure out which one they would
Well,
do.
yeah, it's, what we don't want is the large 100, 200 unit say, no, we'll just put bins out, we don't want dumpsters. And I want the town to be able to say, no, that's not going to work for this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the reason I was using
That's why
Pinnacle.
the ordinance allows the public works director to meet with them and fashion that. But we'd like to have the final say, because we can't continue with everyone doing it a little bit differently. We need to standardize some of our collections. Okay, I understand what you're saying.
So, I mean, you asked about flexibility. Is this first go around, we want to try to, in my opinion, we want to try to make it as less complicated for the renters, the homeowners, the condos, the business owners, and make this as less painful as we can. Is it going to be perfect the first go around? Probably not. We do need to have some flexibility. But I just go back to the town spending a ton of money, and I just don't see why we need to spend the $720,000 and let the businesses and the condo associations take care of their own trash. That's my opinion.
Could we focus on residential for just a minute? Do I hear consensus on residential? You want us to do twice a week?
Yes.
And, with residential, your cost basis is the same, because whenever the truck goes down the street, or down like our street, for example.
If I can pick everybody's up, that's correct.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what about the rentals, bear resistant?
Absolutely.
Is that the consensus?
What
Yeah.
would be the
Yes.
minimum number of people in a rental to put a bear resistant bin? Because we have some houses that rent to like 15 or so people. So I don't know if the ordinance needs to include that or just let the fines do the issues with it. Because I can pick up two that I've walked through that I've called in that I know a minimum of 15 to 18 people are in that house.
I mean,
We have some large, short-term rentals. In the ones that I'm familiar with, we, required them to put in extra bins.
Okay.
We would continue that.
Yeah,
Yes,
There was a subset of the short-term rentals. There was the privately managed, and then there was the professionally managed. And the professionally managed ones currently use the tag. Do you want those rentals to be included in bear resistant bins as well?
yes, yes.
What does everybody say?
I agree.
If they're in the rental business, they need to
If
have,
they're in the rental business, yeah, I
if
agree.
they're in the
I
rental
agree.
business,
I
however
agree
you
with
want to
that.
dice it, they need to have their own dumpster.
It's
their own-
less work, you know, for Public Works to clean that
And our
up.
guys won't get screened at.
right, because inevitably, what's happening now is, a lot of those people that are going in and cleaning those are using the tag and bringing what they're cleaning to the convenience center. Is that not correct? Yeah, right. So that would alleviate all that.
And you know, if I was paying $400 or $500 a night for a house, and I had to take my own trash, I'd have a problem with that.
Or just include a trash fee. I mean, that's what
No, that's up to the
Airbnb
renter.
does, you just
Yeah,
add a
That's up
trash
to
fee
the renters.
in
It
and
has nothing to do with us.
But they'll make their money back
Residential,
on.
do we need any other clarification?
I don't think so.
Okay, let's talk about commercial.
Now, I got another question about, just to make sure I'm on the same page with residential. With residential, it's gonna cost, the investment's gonna be $165,000, because you're gonna have to have a new truck, correct? Just one new truck.
Yes, one small duty truck, not a full-size garbage truck, which is why it's the reduced cost, so the charge is
We're not gonna
included.
we're not gonna buy these anymore.
I mean, these look annotated.
Yes, $160,000 buys an F-450 class pickup and hires the 2 route workers necessary to run the additional route.
Okay.
Okay?
Plus you need another truck for the, hold the container.
Well, we're gonna talk about the convenience center in a minute. I'm trying to break it down so that we can all, so that I can understand. Anything else on residential?
baby steps.
If the rental VRBO people decide to take their own trash to the convenience center, and that's how they built their business model, which I know a few of them, they just do that.
Well, from what I'm hearing, we wouldn't permit that any longer. If you
That's
have
correct.
a VRBO, you have to have a bin.
Bear proof.
Very resistant bin. And we would pick it up. And so there wouldn't be a
So how do you differentiate residential from VRBO if I'm just driving in my vehicle to drop off some trash?
They'll either have the card or the placard.
well, if you've got a placard, you can come in anyways.
Yeah.
We're not gonna change that. So
If the VRBOs do have placards, the
Right.
owners of the property.
but if they've got a bin,
Yeah,
if you make them out of a bin and they don't wanna put it in the bin, is what you're saying?
yes.
Come on down, just have a placard.
Okay.
What I think will happen is the renter doesn't want to do that, they'll put the
Put it in the
garbage in
bin.
the
Yeah,
bin,
eventually.
and we'll stop that harassment at the convenience center.
Yep.
Okay.
And then,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what,
And
If-
they've got the cards at Fred's.
If
that they
the-
can buy and leave.
And the VRBO will make their money back in the first.
It's
yeah, they add it
$5.
to their business model.
Exactly.
I've had this conversation with a few people on VRBO.
Yep.
And the thing is also, some of the VRBO people that I know, they use their own home, you know, whenever. And I personally, I wouldn't want to give my cards out to a renter
Right.
and then risk not getting them back.
Exactly.
All right, commercial. From what I'm hearing, you want us to proceed with finalizing numbers with Republic, or no?
I think a consensus first.
Okay.
I mean, we don't have that many businesses up here.
Well, I've got that down, we need to reach out to the business community.
Me personally, I like the idea of using Republic and having 2 8-yard cubes and.
As opposed to the town?
Yeah.
Doing it?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Makes better business sense, but I'm only one business who's.
Yeah.
I've reached
called
out,
a few and they've been pretty open to moving out that way.
I've reached out to 2 businesses on Beach Mountain. One currently is using Republic Services.
Are they
And-
happy?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes, they've been using them for 3 years.
Okay.
And the second business I discussed this with, one of our larger businesses here on Beach Mountain, they're in favor of it also. So, I don't know, me personally, I'd rather just make the decision today, and we got a lot of other things that are on our table.
Well, obviously, this is a pretty important decision.
Absolutely.
Because it keeps coming up every year.
So if you're
we
going,
might want to take the time and ask businesses. And we don't have that many.
so are we going to also ask all the condo associations and VRBO people and?
No, I think the condo association, we should, but I don't think a VRBO is going to want an 8-yard cube dumpster in their parking lot.
Most of them are, I mean,
No, it wouldn't take long to talk to the HOA association. You could get that answer as quick as you could a commercial.
I'm assuming that they'll like the idea, but with trash, obviously, we realize it's a big deal. And yet again, we're about to jump the gun. And then this time, we're not jumping the gun with residential, we're jumping the gun with commercial. So if we want to piss off a bunch of commercial people, I'll let you deal with that conversation.
That's part of being on council.
I think it's worth.
It is being part of council, but it's okay to have a little bit of decency and talk to these businesses.
He asked our opinion, I'm giving him my opinion, that's it.
Well, it's not
whatever
exclusive.
I know.
I can do this. I can reach out to the business. We don't have that many. And we can gather that input. I mean, we should
That's
do
a
that.
smart way.
Do you think
We
it's
should
going
do
to
that
take
anyway.
6 months?
I think it's a smart way of doing it.
No.
Yeah.
I can have it answered, close to next council meeting. So I don't think it's, you don't have to do one or the other.
I think it's
we can
worth
do
the
that.
effort to do that,
Absolutely.
Chief. And I also think it would talk to the Pinnacle, who's used them for years, talk to their HOA, get that.
Well, I can tell you right now, the Pinnacle, we have to go all the time to pick up the garbage.
And I've lived there and owned 2 units. And I can tell you, there's always been a problem there with that.
And that's the
Yeah.
Republic.
Right.
But they call us, and we still go anyway.
Yeah, I guess my question would be if you added more dumpsters, would we have that issue? But I think it's worth, I agree with Jimmy, it's worth the consensus to reach out
Yeah, that's fine.
and then make a decision at our next council meeting with commercial.
Not to go on a sidetrack, but what was the issue with Republic maybe a year ago with the Pinnacle? I remember you had to get on their butt about something.
Well, similar issue, it wasn't responsive. We wanted additional dumpsters during the peak, and it wasn't grab one at the yard and put it up there. It was, call the account representative, get it into their system, get it up there. The Pinnacle wanted a price, we wanted a price. And it was dealing with the bureaucracy of a major company. It's not as I said, it's not as reactive as the town is used to being.
Would that be better, Chief, if we had more businesses with larger business for them? It obviously would benefit them.
Well, obviously, this contract, if it goes in this direction, is far greater than 5 cans at the Pinnacle.
Right.
That may have something to do with it. I don't know. But beyond, the mayor's correct. You lose control by being more fiscally conservative with the fees and not buying all this equipment, but we lose control. And so the mayor's correct. When I get the call that says my dumpster's overflowed, I'd like to tell you that we're going to say, we'll call Republic. That's not what's going to happen. I'm going to call Daniel and Matthew, and they're going to send someone out with a pickup truck, and we're going to solve the problem, because that's what this town does.
Okay.
The more we do that, the more behind we get. It's, I'm just telling you the reality of it. At some point, we got to decide, what it is we're going to do. We're going to make it work. Obviously, that's what we do. We solve problems and make it work. But every time we do that, it gets us more into where we are today. But that's what's going to happen. We're going to. So, to your point, we can never do away with our sanitation department. And to Mayor's point, we're always going to be in the garbage business, whether we're on the phone with Republic or we're sending people out there to pick it up. think the issue is the cost and the cost effectiveness. I think when we reach out to the businesses and we say, you want to spend $155, give or take, per pickup, for 1 week pickup, and the hassle, or do you want to spend substantially more? I don't know what that number is, because we've got to figure in this capital cost. The businessman's going to say, give it to me the least expensive. That's what I do. But everyone needs to understand, including the business community, that it is not as responsive as they're used to having. It's not, it can't be. And we'll make it work, because we always do. Our public works department is very keen at making things work. But the more we do that, the more we fall out.
Well, I think when you talk to the businesses, you should give them two options. One, we'll take care of it, and it costs you $300 or whatever the number is, and have up-to-date service. Or you pay $155 and you wait for Republic and don't call us.
Well, it's.
What I'm saying is, this is your option.
Yeah.
You're gonna save $150 a cube, but you're gonna have this kind of service.
Yeah, but they will call us.
Yeah, I know they will, but it's a give and take.
Yes, yeah,
I mean, we can't do everything.
correct.
And so if we're not gonna control it, I mean, if Jimmy has a busy weekend and he's got stuff piled all over and Republic doesn't show up, you know for sure it's gonna be calling us. But Jim Fry is paying whatever he's paying. But he's not bringing anything to the town. And he's not calling you and saying, I need to be picked up.
Yeah, that's true.
Because he's paying the price, he wants the service.
Yeah.
So, to me, I know what's gonna happen. As sure as I'm sitting here.
So what if 50% of the businesses say, I want the service, and 50% say, I want it cheaper? What do you want me to do?
Well, then we'll give them the service.
Okay.
That's the way I look at it. Because I know it's gonna happen. We're gonna end up, you guys are gonna end up running to all these places because they're gonna be screaming they're not gonna get the service. I understand Republic has a great model, but they got, I mean, when they do banner up, they do all the residents. I mean, they can do that, but if we're gonna give them what, 10, how many businesses are gonna be involved?
Do you know how many business cans?
34 commercial accounts at this point that have cans.
Is that including condos, or how do you?
That's every commercial account that we have on file.
Okay,
Not most condos.
That's
Most
not,
condos have pulled their dumpsters.
so I'm just saying, we're offering them 34,
About 50.
which is no big deal comparing to what they would have if they were dealing all with banner up.
right.
They'll jump for that, but they ain't gonna jump for us. I know, I'm telling you right now, I understand the cost involved and the money that we're gonna be laying out, which is gonna be handed down to everybody else, including, all of us. But you're gonna get the service that you want. So do you wanna save less, or do you wanna pay more? Either way, you're gonna end up paying, I'm telling you. I guarantee you within 6 months, and I'd like you to, if we go to the Republic, I'd like you to keep a record. I guarantee you in 6 months, you'll see the ton of complaints and how many times you're gonna have to go out to cover their butt because they didn't do what they were supposed to do. I guarantee you, it's gonna cost us more money because you're gonna send out your guys that can do other things to go pick up garbage. I'm telling you. Remember it. Mark my words right now. Record it.
We got it. Recorded.
That
So,
would-
per the ordinance, how are we going to make multifamily units purchase bear-resistant bins? Because that's currently,
It is. It's
It
in
is,
the
okay.
ordinance. It's that discussion we had about the public works director deciding if a dumpster is
gotcha,
required.
okay.
And what we'll have to do after the consensus on the bear-resistant bins is we'll propose an ordinance change that requires that, similar to what Sugar Mountain did.
Okay,
So you'll see that again.
And then we also had people that built their own bins, their own bear-resistant bins. So that's just approval by Public Works to keep those. Okay,
Those are approvable under the current ordinance.
all right, perfect.
So I think I should mention to you, just to cover my butt, the reason I brought you Republic was not because I'm recommending it either way. It's incumbent upon me to show you what's available out there and compare it. You know, I was asking you to spend $720,000 on equipment and personnel. I should at least tell you what, you know, we can contract it out for. So I wanted to do that. Okay, to recap, on commercial, we're going to tighten up and see if we can get some better numbers. We're going to reach out to the businesses on a cost versus service basis. And it's basically an expansion of the Pinnacle Inn model. Did I miss anything on commercial?
No, and then the commercial can only be mad at themselves. Like Barry said, if it does fail, the businesses can blame themselves for choosing which route we're about to take.
They still call.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's going to be growing pains, but after they continue to call, they're going to probably get more cubicle dumpsters.
Well, obviously
I think
that's the answer.
Yeah, I think we'll go through a growing pain, but
You know.
That's the
I
safety
don't want
net.
to, yeah, I don't want to spend $720,000.
All right, convenience center. Last direction, we're going, from what I understood, and if this is not true, let me know. We're going to operate the new center with 2 attendants. We're going to purchase a second cable truck so that we can haul more trash. That's not what I mean to say. Those compacted containers to get them out of here. And then we'll review it in 6 months. Is that okay? We review it from July. In January of next year to decide if we want to continue the hours and try and reduce costs there. Is that what I heard? Is that?
I agree.
Yes, I agree with that.
Is there anything else you want me to do at the convenience center in this upcoming budget? We're proposing exactly what I just told you.
So where do you think we are with the increase in tourism up here with the convenience center? I mean, will the new Public Works building be able to handle it, or are we going to have to keep what we have and add on the compactors?
I don't want to give you my off-the-cuff opinion. We need to try it. We've done some calculations based on tonnage and capacity, cubic yards. I think the new center is going to be a bottleneck. The way it's operated is going to be important, as Daniel said, how that happens. We believe we've got to take the bag out of your car, put it in the compactor, and we believe we have to have somebody standing there at the recycling center to make sure that we don't throw something that contaminates the entire load, and we have to throw that load of recycled materials into the landfill. I believe that we're going to have to keep the old center available for overflow, particularly if you didn't go with the twice-a-week pickup. That's going to help tremendously, and particularly if you didn't go with the rental bare bins pickup curbside. That's going to help tremendously at the recycling center. But my plan is, as we open the new center, to leave the old one available for overflow. Because as we talked earlier today, holiday weekends, the old center, which has higher capacity than the new one, is overflowed. So until we get a handle on that, until we get this residential pickup underway and we see how the tonnage is being distributed, I really don't know. But I know we're going to be restricted in the new center.
Okay, I have one issue. The transfer container dumpster we're using. I mean, we wouldn't let our convenience center look like that. Have you seen what it looked like?
I don't know.
Well, you need to go. That's a dump. There's
Is
garbage.
this the transfer dock?
There's garbage everywhere. Everywhere. I mean, luckily, it's a little bit behind the fence where people don't see it. But if our convenience center looked like that, my partner on my left would be screaming with pictures. It is unbelievably dirty. All over. and I understand we got the problem, but still, I mean, whatever we drop on the side, we should pick up. We got more on the ground than we got in the dumpster.
Do you have any idea what we should do there?
Well, I know exactly what he's talking about. He's exactly right, and we deal with it as best as we can. The problem is I have to have the sanitation folks on the route to pick it up. So what we do is we rely usually 3 times a week. We send a machine over there, we clean it up. Unfortunately, every time we dump, we spill, and it builds up. Like I said, 2 to 3 times a week, we have to send a crew over there to pick it up as best as we can.
Is it not functioning well? You say every time we dump, it spills. Is that something we need to change?
Well, we definitely could change. I don't quite know how. That would require engineering. The fact is you're perpendicular to the can when you back in with the truck, and it falls over the side, or it falls in between because the wing wall is too close to the driver's door. We can't get the can close enough to the wall to keep it from falling down between. The only way to do that would be like a flume and wall type system, to where you had a solid wall on the back, you had a sloped entrance into it. In other words, you'd have to wall above the can in order to catch the trash coming out of the garbage truck. Now, with that said, bear in mind that should we go to the twice weekly, should we get rid of the commercial cans, we're no longer using the big trucks. So we no longer are transferring from that large unit. The next thing we're doing is we're dumping from a ton truck into that can, which is a much cleaner, much smoother operation. So although anytime you dump trash, there's some trash. What you see is, you're exactly right, is a lot of trash. At that point, it's a very small amount of trash.
Well, today, when they dumped, I mean, the container is this big, and the
Yeah.
garbage is right in the middle.
Yes.
So, you get the wind, you get whatever, I mean, it's going all over.
Yes, yes.
Let us work on that, Mayor.
What time was that?
An hour, 2 hours ago?
It started at 7 a.m. this morning, and unfortunately, our machine broke down, and we weren't. Did they get it?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not disputing what you saw. Obviously, you saw it, and I know it's been a hit or miss. I went there right before the meeting, and it needed a little love, but I think that mess had been cleaned up,
I'll have to look on the way back, because,
unless I missed something.
yeah, you must have.
No, this morning it was terrible, and we had tasked the crew to take care of it. I didn't know what time you'd seen it.
It was probably 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
Well,
But the mess is made almost every time that we dump the vehicle. So it's just constant cleanup.
but that will be remedied with the new recycling center, correct?
No.
Not under our current plan, no. If we keep our rear load trucks and we continue to have to offload to get those to Boone, that's the problem. A ton class is just less volume, it fits in the container board.
Let us work on that, Mayor. It appears we know about it. I'll meet with Daniel and Matthew. We'll see if there's something we can do to minimize it. Obviously, cleaning it up on a regular basis is the key.
Another crew.
The day of is pretty good as well, so, you know, we are working on it, but we still do make the mess.
I will say, I'll compliment our mayor that he's made progress since he's recognized trash at the recycling center.
Do you need anything else from the council?
You got your glasses?
Mayor, we've got what we need. That's what Daniel and Matthew were telling me. Obviously, you'll answer any questions you've got. What I'd like to do is bring you the next thing you'll see is next council meeting. I think it's the 8th or 9th of March. I'll bring you a recap of what the business
That'd be great.
suggestions were
Okay.
as the information. And we'll start preparing the budget based on what you've given us today.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your time.
Kelly, you got anything?
No, I think we've pretty much covered everything. Thank you, Daniel, for all the information, and, yeah, looks good for me.
You said your piece, or you got something else?
No, I was just gonna say, it kind of goes with what Jimmy said a few minutes ago. I thought our purpose today here was to have a general consensus, and it's not that I want to enforce regulations on our businesses, without their input. Time is of the essence, but I don't want to make a knee-jerk reaction, but, by what you said, that you could reach out to businesses and have a general consensus back to us, next council meeting.
That'd be great.
I think that's the route to go. I just didn't know we had that option.
Okay, Jimmy?
Yes, sir.
Aaron?
I think we've covered just about everything, and I think it's a good way to go.
All right, I want to just thank the guys for giving us all the information.
Yep, thank you for getting.
And Bob, putting all this together.
Yep.
We're in the garbage business regardless if we want it or not. It's just depending how we want to diversify it. But let's get the businesses, get their idea. And we'll meet again, and you've got a pretty good idea.
Good.
Just want to know, the next council meeting, we will vote on this?
Well, he's going to make a budget.
Well, I don't need a vote. If I've got consensus, so as we go through the budget process, I'll build this into the budget. And so eventually in June, when we vote for the budget, that's where it'll be all I just didn't know, we're going in a million different directions in the budget, and I wanted to focus what you wanted us to focus on. And we got that.
All right, I need a consensus of adjourn the meeting.
Motion.
Second.
Motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
I have seen this in person, and it is really scary. You're right, Bob. It's scary, it's not safe, and I'm amazed that the guys do what they do. Bye, Jimmy. I'm amazed that the guys do what they do in the space provided, because they're trying to put trash from A to B. There's no room to do it.